The 4th of July. For most Americans, it's a day of celebration, fireworks, and gatherings with friends. But for the family of Nolan Xavier Wells, a promising 18-year-old athlete, the 4th of July became the beginning of a national nightmare. Nolan had everything going for him. He had just graduated from high school in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and was about to achieve his dream, reporting to the football training camp at Southwest Mississippi Community College. The trip planned for that holiday weekend was supposed to be his final celebration before dedicating himself entirely to his athletic career. He boarded a boat with 3 friends, heading to Horn Island, a remote, uninhabited barrier island about 7 miles off the coast. His friends returned that night. Nolan did not. 2 days later, his body was found floating near the shore. What initially looked like a tragic, accidental drowning quickly unraveled into a web of contradictions that shocked the nation. Deleted messages, a cell phone left behind, viral videos of fights, and a racial divide that brought Mississippi's historical ghosts right back to the surface. Why did his friends head back and leave him behind? What really happened on Horn Island? In this video, we will break down the timeline, analyze the inconsistencies, and look at a mother's desperate search for justice. To understand the weight of this case, we first have to understand who Nolan Wells was. Described by his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley, as a young man with a massive heart, Nolan was the kind of person who lit up any room he walked into. On the field, he was known for his discipline and impeccable physical conditioning. Crucially, his family emphasizes that he was an excellent swimmer. On the eve of the holiday, Nolan had dinner with his mother. He said goodbye with a simple, "Hey Mom, I'm heading out. Love you." He was going to spend the night at a friend's house so they could catch a boat to Horn Island early the next morning. Horn Island is part of the Gulf Islands National Seashore. It is a long, desolate strip of land. No stores, no public docks, no electricity. The only way on or off the island is by private boat. On the 4th of July, the island was packed. It is estimated that between 200 and 300 people, mostly young adults and former high school classmates, were there, partying across various boats anchored near the shore. Nolan boarded the boat in the morning. A photo taken that day and posted on social media shows Nolan smiling, his arms draped around his 3 friends. This image, which seemed to capture a perfect moment of friendship, would soon become the center of intense debate. Nolan was the only black youth on that boat. The official timeline begins to blur in the mid-afternoon. According to witness statements, somewhere between 3 p.m. and 4:30 p.m., the boat Nolan and his friends were on started experiencing mechanical issues, specifically with the bilge pump, causing it to take on water. The group needed to return to the mainland immediately before the situation worsened. And this is where the first and most controversial twist of the case occurs. According to Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter, Nolan's friends claimed in their statements that the young football player voluntarily chose to stay on the island. The narrative they provided was that Nolan had met a girl on the beach and told his friends he would catch a ride back with another group later. The friends then started the boat and left, leaving Nolan behind on the uninhabited island. At around 11 p.m. that night, realizing Nolan had not checked in and had not returned, one of the friends called Nolan's mother to report him missing. Just after midnight, a panicked Christine formally filed a missing persons report. But Nolan's family rejected this narrative from the very beginning. His mother was emphatic in the media. "We always taught him, if you go out as 5, you come back as 5. They argue that Nolan would never deliberately stay behind, isolated on a dark island with no guaranteed way to get home. An immediate search was launched involving multiple agencies and volunteers. On the morning of July 5th, Nolan's father went out on a boat alongside his son's football coach, desperately searching every corner of the island, but they found nothing. It wasn't until the following morning, Monday, July 6th, around 8:45 a.m., that a National Park Service ranger spotted a body floating in the water near the northwest tip of Horn Island. The identity was confirmed through dental records. It was Nolan Wells. He was wearing only his blue swim trunks and sunglasses. Local authorities were quick to state that preliminary investigations pointed to an accidental drowning, seeing no immediate signs of foul play. However, renowned civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who was retained by the family, pointed to physical evidence that completely shattered the police's logic. When Nolan's friends returned from Horn Island, they brought his most valuable personal belongings back with them, his car keys and his cell phone. Ben Crump publicly questioned, "What 18-year-old decides to stay on a deserted island at night and voluntarily leaves his cell phone with the friends who are leaving? How was he supposed to communicate with this other group that was allegedly giving him a ride?" The friends' defense argued that during boat trips in saltwater, it is common practice to leave phones protected in the boat's console, and that Nolan simply forgot his device when he stepped onto the beach. But the seeds of suspicion had already been sown. As the case gained traction on social media, the mystery deepened. Nolan's mother, upon recovering her son's phone, opened his Snapchat app to look for the photos and videos he routinely posted during social events. To her shock, the account was completely wiped. There were no saved memories, no messages, and no posts from that fateful July 4th. The family suspects that messages and media were intentionally deleted from the device before it was handed back to them. Making matters worse, a video recorded by beachgoers on Horn Island that day began going viral on TikTok and X, formerly Twitter. The video captured a chaotic, large brawl on the beach. Ben Crump's team claimed that in the background audio, Nolan's voice could be heard screaming, "Give me my F***ing phone! What are you doing?" Days later, a close friend of Nolan's went on ABC News to dispute the video. He claimed that the voice in the recording was actually his own, arguing that the fight was an entirely separate incident that had nothing to do with Nolan, and that their friend group would never hurt him. To add even more confusion, unverified photos surfaced online suggesting Nolan had been spotted at a pool party after the time he supposedly went missing on the island. The online rumor mill began heavily clouding the official investigation. The Nolan Wells case quickly transcended local police blotters and became a national civil rights issue. The reason? The location. Mississippi carries deep historical scars of systemic racism and unresolved crimes against Black individuals, stretching from the Jim Crow era to the tragic, historic 1955 case of Emmett Till. The family openly declared they did not trust the impartiality of local Mississippi authorities. The Reverend Al Sharpton led Nolan's funeral service. Filmmaker Spike Lee attended press conferences in support, and actor-producer Tyler Perry helped cover the funeral expenses. Furthermore, former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick stepped in to personally fund an independent autopsy. Nolan's body was transported to Washington, D.C. to be examined by federal forensic pathologists completely unaffiliated with Mississippi law enforcement. During a press conference, Nolan's father raised a logical medical question. If Nolan went missing on the afternoon of July 4th in warm, shallow summer waters, why did his body only surface on July 6th? The physics and biology of drowning dictate that bodies tend to float much faster in warm water. Where was Nolan during those intermediate 24 hours? To this day, the community of Ocean Springs and the thousands of people following the case online demand just one thing: transparency. The final results of the official and independent autopsies, alongside digital forensics to recover deleted data from Nolan's phone, will be crucial in defining the direction of this case. Whether this was a terrible, tragic accident caused by a sequence of misunderstandings or something far more sinister that took place on the isolated sands of Horn Island, the truth must come to light. A young, promising athlete's life was cut short before it could truly begin. Nolan's family continues to urge anyone who was on Horn Island on the 4th of July and who may have photos, videos, or any piece of information to come forward and contact their legal team or authorities. What do you think happened on Horn Island? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video so we can keep this story in the spotlight, and subscribe to the channel for future updates on this case. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.